X-Men 97. They're back at us again. There were some bright eyes, and then there was a few eyes that have been closed for good. Let's talk about it. All right, guys. Brent here, back for Geek Grants to cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, X-Men 97. And now, I'm going to shut up and let the man whose opinion you all came to see in all things X-Men discuss episode 7, Bright Eyes. And as you can tell, this episode has him a little bit vexed.
I don't know what to think anymore. This it was so much going on in this one episode. But first, let's just start off. It was the funeral for Gambit, which officially closes the casket on Gambit in the series, allegedly, because we know in comics people don't stay dead. But we're just going to go with Gambit's dead. And as you go and look around at the funeral, you see the normal people there, but then you see some people, and I'm upset at myself because, like I said, I am old and I forget a lot of stuff, but I know that's the Thieves Guild. I don't know if that's Bella or Mercy. I am angry right now because I can't remember who is who. I just can't. But one person that was missing was Rogue. And when we ask, well, where could Rogue be? Then it shows up and she is out here bodying the army as much as you can physically put violence on somebody without killing them. That's what she's doing. And it was great to see Rogue being Rogue and them actually showing her power because in the OG when she didn't really get, I mean, she got to show off, but she didn't really get to see angry Rogue, and right now she has just no F's given at all. Shout out to Thunderbolt Ross being in the bunker. We all know who Red Hulk is. I'm saying. So now we are officially, connected, and it connects later on. And I love the line where he said, "I thought you were supposed to be the good guys," and she was like, "You killed the good ones. Now you have to deal with me." And I think that is the temperament that most of the X-Men have, because then you see Scott and Jean. I think they're getting along mainly for the team. They still have their issues, but right now you have to put those aside. And so they take the squad and they go out to Genosha. And my boy Cyclops is all business. He is not about games right now. You can see it in his mannerisms. When Wolverine is getting along with Cyclops, there's a problem because now Wolverine's not even judging. He's like, let's go then. So they go and they just see the devastation firsthand. And a lot of people who I know, you see stuff on TV is not the same as seeing it firsthand. And they got to Genosha, and and the animation in here started to go is just starting to be greater than I anticipated. The facial expressions is showing firsthand of, oh my God, this really happened. And they're like, we have to find at least somebody. And I already knew who they were going to find because in the book it kind of went the same way, and they found that one person. It turned out to be Emma Frost, and this brought upon her second mutation of diamond form, because before this she didn't have it. It was just boom. And what Marvel was going to do is they were going to start having people get a second mutation, but then it became too much because then you're like, okay, what about this and this? So they just left it with Emma, and now she could be a telepath or diamond form. Can't do both at the same time. It's either or. And this triggered it, and it saved her life. So I'm gonna go ahead and guess that Sebastian Shaw is dead because they were together, and he was crushed. So I'm gonna guess that they were dead. Shout out to, let's talk about Beast for a little while. Like I said, you can tell the temperament of the X-Men now. Yes.
I actually want to jump in on this one because
Uh-oh.
I have been feeling some kind of way about Scott for a while, and this does directly relate to Beast because Scott is usually more of a Boy Scout ish character from all intents and purposes, tends to follow more
From time to
along what
time.
Charles is saying, but can eventually go more Team Magneto. And right now he's Team Magneto for the most part, but he's not like exterminate, but he's like, I'm basically done with everyone's shenanigans. no more of this. We're not playing this game anymore. And for Beast to be out here and using the word, oh, so you tolerating me now, huh?
When she said tolerate,
Okay.
that set Beast off. Beast was like, this just popped off, and now you coming about tolerating. I thought we were beyond that. Beast genius level intellect is a. This is about to be some darkness coming, and I'm ready for it. So they find Emma, and you can tell she's hurting. So because her diamond form makes her impervious but not invulnerable, she still can feel some pain. So they get her out of there, and then we get the call. Oh, X-Men come to the Blackbird. I'm like, here we go. It's about to pop off. Well, what did I say? We need action in every episode, and we've gotten it. So now they're like, they get the call. You want us to wait a minute? You created these Sentinels. Why should we trust you? Thank you more for pointing that out. Because Wolverine, being Wolverine, is like, hey, let's go get him. Scott was like, yeah, let's go get him. And here we go. Them agreeing again. That's not a good thing. They're supposed to be opposite ends of the spectrum. Wolverine is supposed to be hard charging, straightforward, no nonsense thinking. Cyclops is supposed to be, like you said, laid back, the leader, Boy Scout. Let's think things through first. And now they're both like, yeah, let's go. And so they get into the Blackbird. They all go. And this is something that took me by surprise. They get in there, everybody's knocked out and whatever, and you see Gyrick standing there, about to jump off the building. And right when he does it, he explains what the guy did to him. He lets you know Sinister wasn't the main guy. It was somebody else he's working with. I'm not going to let him turn me into more of a monster than I am. You know, all this self-doubt, all this self-loathing. That's fine. You did what you did. The X-Men said, but you did this. You caused this. And as he tries to jump, what happens? Rogue. Boop. No, she catches him. And then she says her speech. I didn't expect him to get dropped. I thought she was just gonna throw him over his shoulder, maybe broke some bone. Nah, she was like, all right, boop. And of course, that took people by surprise. She turned around, gives her speech, she killed my man. And that's one of the few times that she has said out loud that Gambit was hers. But before she could get done with that speech, here comes the Prime Sentinel. And for y'all to know, Sentinels go in order of being just BA. I'm kind of iffy on the Sentinels because I did stop reading after a while, and like the Prime Sentinels came in, the Wild Sentinels came in during my little break. But I know that the Prime Sentinels are startups, you know, they're test subjects, they're human Sentinels hybrids, and this leads us to the later part of the episode. So the Prime Sentinel comes up and one shots Rogue. That lets you know right there he is nobody to play with. He literally just took out their strongest team member with one shot. I don't know if you was impressed by that, but I was highly impressed by him taking out Rogue. And as he was taking out X-Men left or right, because you know they coming up, but we already know it's not gonna work. He's screaming out mutant neutralize. And what we need to understand is saying mutant neutralized is not the same as saying mutant terminated. So they're not dead. They're just unconscious. They're not a threat anymore. So let's put that out there because I know a lot of people are like, well, are they dead? Are they killing off the X-Men? No, they're not. They're just put to sleep. So I will say I like how the teamwork showed up because when the building fell, you know, Cyclops, again, being the BA that he is. Gene, you take the building, I got the debris. And what happened? Ding, 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 ding. Saves everything. Next thing you know, here comes Prime Sentinel. Boom, gone. And then the only person that on the X-Men that can be the Prime Sentinel, or even the guy I mentioned later, is Cable because he has the technology. So what happened? Cable shows up, EMP bomb. That's what I'm gonna call it. Might not be the technical X-Men name for it, but it's an EMP for me. Gets up, and at this point, I'm like, yo, you gotta say about your son. Do you not realize? But then I was like, wait a minute, he don't even know that's his son yet. Gene then does a psychic blast on Cable, gets connected to the thought that he had with Madeline. It's like, oh my God. And then Scott says, Nathan, now they know they're a family. He's like, yeah, Dad, what's up? So now you just took out You lose Gambit and you lose Magneto for a minute, but then you get Cable. And we all predicted that Cable was going to come back sometime because you're going to need more muscle. And that's what Cable's going to be. So they get through all that, and then we get to Sinister talking to a mysterious figure. Turns out
Figure I'm not familiar with.
a lot of people are not. He's not obscure, but he's only pertinent to certain storylines. And if you miss the storylines, you wouldn't see him. It's Bastion. And I will shout out to one of my friends. He told me not to say his name, but he watches these. I'm gonna give you a shout out, my man. You were right. He said in episode 3 that Bastion was going to show up. His words: Sinister is a great villain. He is not a mastermind. He is more of a scientist. He is more of a doer. He is not going to be the mastermind of the series. And it showed today who the mastermind of the series is, and it's Bastion. So, quick snippet on Bastion since you don't know about it. His name was Sebastian Gilberti. Bastion is a human slash sentinel mix. He is a fused version of a master mold and a Nimrod. You don't know about Nimrod because he's another sentinel from, I want to say, either Cable's or Bishop's time. It always confuses me, but he's the white one with all the pink, and attacks just bounce off of him. So they're fused. So that's enough about Bastion. He is highly intelligent. He has a lot of powers. He negates a lot of powers. I mean, he's basically a Terminator for mutants. Um, what is it? One thing we've got to do. It was too many cameos in here for me to cover. It is a lot. Yes, let's talk. We're gonna talk about the second one first because that's the smaller one. But again, it was Morph being Morph, turn it into
Morph
whoever
is
you
a
want to be.
cameo machine, so he's given the writers their freedom and their leeway to show off their powers in ways that otherwise you'd be missing out on good characters.
That is, and that's a great way to show Quicksilver because the minute he changed, he was gone off screen. You was like, where did he change? And you saw a blur. He's still not fast as Flash. He'll never be fast as Flash. And I said what I said. So that's that. But the biggest cameo besides, you know, Quicksilver was of course Captain America.
And boy, was he on one that I was not prepared for because he literally was like, all right, I'm here. I know Rogue has gone rogue, for lack of better terms, but hey, we can help each other.
He didn't want
Let's
none of
get
that
through
smoke
this.
from Rogue.
He knew better. He was like, hey, I'm
Rogue
just
was
here
on a
diplomatically.
mission. He was like, I am super strong. And I also forgot to give a shout out to how powerful Rogue really is when General Ross said, we built this bunker to hold a Hulk, and Rogue just casually knocked the door off. That should tell you her strength level. And by far, and you'll agree with me, by far the funniest thing in this series so far is Rogue taking Cap's shield and said, you won't need this, and throwing it over there, way over there, to where Cap not gonna be able to find it ever. It's just there. That I think I laughed so hard at that I missed like the next 2 minutes of the show and had to rewind because that was just it in her eyes. You just saw I'm not being stopped. So I'm like,
It was interesting that she straight up called Cap a cop, like
he
directly
is.
to his face. Because most people always kind of tiptoe around that issue, but she was just like, hey, Boy Scout, you a cop. We're
I
not
mean,
on the
pretty
same side. It's
certain
like,
instances, yes, Cap is all, and he said we have to go by the book, and he's right because if he wear that Captain Puerto Rico costume, because that's what it is, it's not Captain America costume, it's Captain Puerto Rico. If he wears that costume somewhere out of the states and causes some trouble, it's gonna bring heat back to the United States. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows what he stands for. So he's saying, hey, I gotta go by the book. I gotta do what they say. Um, one of the things we could just briefly talk about is Jubilee and Sunspot. Their
It's
little
not really doing
relationship,
much for
but
me right now. To be honest, they are such the young version that I'm basically benched them as much as I've benched Beast and Wolverine in this series. Sure, they have better stories than both of those two at this moment in time. But again, Wolverine's fandom will override most things, even though
he
part of
is
me questions
overrated,
why it's there.
he is overrated. I'm just saying, he's a little short, hairy, angry man with an unbreakable skeleton that can still be pulled apart at the joints. I'm saying,
And then we still
any
haven't even talked
ferromagnetic person
about
can beat him.
Magneto being held hostage by
We,
Bastion, and like, look, that's my dude. How are we gonna go save him? What is he being used for? What's the experiments?
I'm
Lead
gonna
me
tell
down the
you,
rabbit hole.
I'm telling you what my thoughts are. We already saw Gyrick being turned into a Prime Sentinel, right? I'm honestly thinking that Bastion is going to try that with Magneto.
Oh,
Can you
turn him against the
imagine?
very people he loves. Magneto
Can
would just
you
off himself,
imagine? Well, you
straight
can't,
unalive himself.
because one of Bastion powers is he can control Sentinels. So Magneto's free will will be gone, but then that's going to play on Magneto's Jewish and the concentration camp and loss of free will with him again. I mean, this could do some damage to his psyche.
Some. I
Yeah.
mean, his girl's not even his girl anymore, and now he lost his people once. Now he's about to lose his whole identity with his people again.
But again,
Like,
that's
this
just
dude
my
is
thoughts.
going through it.
I believe he's going to
It's
try
a
to
dark
turn Magneto.
storyline, but
I think they're going to try to
it's
turn Magneto
working.
into a Sentinel. So, I'm trying to think of, is there anything else I left off?
I think we covered every aspect of this episode down to every nook and cranny. The only thing that I truly feel was missing was our girl Storm, but we all know she's in other places at this time, and they'll continue that one
And
as
I
we have
believe
3
they're
more
coming.
episodes with.
I believe in this next 3-parter that Storm, Forge, maybe Bishop will come back. I'm kind of thinking that Magneto is going to be a big part of this somehow. I kind of hope they don't turn him into a Prime Sentinel. I
I
don't
think they're going to
want that.
go Prime Sentinel with him, and I think they're going to pull in Storm because Storm sacrificed herself for Magneto, that she'll once again put herself in danger to
Or she
pull
might be
him
the
back and try and
linchpin.
break him
Yeah,
out.
she might be the linchpin that snaps his mind. I don't know too much about Prime Sentinels. I just know I myself don't want it. I think it's going to happen because, like, it is a 3-parter to end out season 1. So I'm saying, though, this episode was so good.
It was so good that you should hit that lovely red subscribe button. You've been listening to us for 18 minutes, talk about all things X-Men.
Except
And
Iron Man sucks.
I was going to go right there. I was like, since he's not here, Iron Man sucks. Cap's better. You're welcome.
I ain't gonna say all that now. Hold on. That's no.
I said what I said.